So since it's a beautiful morning and it's kind of overcast, we're gonna have some rain here in a little while. I thought I would film because it's the perfect time right now. It's not so sunny where you can't hardly see. I did a video at the beginning of spring about putting this tiny little cottage garden in here, and it's done wonderful. My husband actually wanted me to extend the left side of this flower bed over here. So I think in my last video, the left side right here, it was not extended out. My husband said it would probably look better if we extended it. If you guys are new here, we have horrible soil where we live. There's so many rocks. We actually should have called this place the Rock Hill. There's just a lot of rocks and the soil isn't so great, but this spot right here actually is doing really well. All of my plants are planted inside the native soil that we have, and it's done really well. But I have amended the soil with compost and some broken down wood chips. It's actually doing really well. So a lot of my summer blooms have died and are actually dying. We are a couple days out from our average frost. I haven't really seen our frost yet in the forecast, so we're good for a while, but it's getting close. We are going to be in the 40s next week in the nights, so I'm sure a lot of this stuff will really die off. But I'm going to walk through here and show you guys what I've planted and what's already kind of died off and what's growing for next year. I'm going to start right here on the left side. This is a geratum. I actually have two of these plants, that one over there and right here. They have like these periwinkle little blooms on them. A lot of this is actually starting to die, but you see those brown ones? I can save those seeds for next year and not have to buy any. I love this plant. It's actually really good bee magnet, and pollinators love this. When it's in full bloom, this is actually starting to die off. This one over here actually looks a little better. It's starting to die off as well. Get my hand here, there you go. It's almost like a bluish purple, and it's really pretty. These are perfect for cottage gardens. You can plant these all around for a cover, and they bloom, I think mid-season all the way till frost. And they're super easy to grow. You just throw some seeds down, make sure it's watered all the time so they can sprout. And mine done pretty well this year. I plant these almost every year. I planted them at my old house as well. They really help the garden. And then right here, this is a huge area. This is actually starting to die off, but you can see on the inside they're starting to regrow all the seeds. It's really green on the ground. But a lot of these are cosmos, super easy to grow. Right now they're starting to die, so you can see right here, these are the seeds right here, and you can literally just pull them off. And this is what I save for next year. I have a huge cup of these saved, so I don't have to buy any seeds next year. This is what they look like. So when you plant cosmos, you just let them die off. You get all these free seeds everywhere. And you just pick them off, make sure they're fully dry for a week or two, laid out in your home, and then you put them away for the winter until next year. So super easy to grow. I literally just throw these on the ground as well. They sprouted up. I actually had somebody on here that commented and said, hey, why don't you just grow cosmos, zinnias, and all that? Because my horrible soil, I was afraid nothing was going to grow in this soil. And they said to try to grow those because those are really easy to grow in poor soil. So doing amazing. You can see down here on the very bottom, they're all growing in, but it's kind of sad because our average frost is coming up and all this will die. But you can see all this dead up here, and there's still a ton of seeds. So if they fall, I wonder if they'll come back next year if they fall in the ground and overwinter. We'll see. Sometimes I have that happen with certain flowers. And then these are some tall marigolds. I've saved these seeds for many years. They're orange and yellow. They're beautiful. They're really big. This is what they look like. Absolutely huge, beautiful. They're on their way out too, but I'm going to show you guys here. I just collect the really dried ones like this one right here. And this is what's going to be my seeds for next year. I try to save as many seeds so I don't have to spend any money next year or this next spring or over winter. So it's a great way to save money. And this right here, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to save these, but these are absolutely beautiful. These are dahlias. A lot of these, I just been picking them off, but look how beautiful these are. I actually got these at Walmart this year. I just got a big, huge variety of colors. So I got these baby ones, there's yellow. I got these baby red ones. And then over here I have, they're like a pink with almost like a purplish pink undertone under the leaves. Absolutely beautiful. And then these ones are like a peachy pink color. They're going on their way out too. They're falling over, but they were so beautiful over the summer and into now. And they'll last till frost. And I'm pretty sure I can either try to put a bunch of insulation on top of the bulbs that's in the ground with a ton of leaves and a tarp and try to save them in the ground, or I could dig them up, dry them out, and put them in some sawdust and either try to put them in the insulated garage, or I don't know if they'll last in my warm house. Never tried it, but I have tried keeping them in the garage before in a paper sack, and they got really disgusting and moldy. Didn't work. So I'm trying to think of what to do this year to try to save some of these, because they are pretty expensive. I'm pretty sure they're like $5 for a pack of 3 at Walmart. So it could really add up. But every week when I go to Walmart in the spring, early spring, they start selling these, and I'll grab a package every week and start stocking up, because I actually have some more over here that I'm going to show you guys. So this little area right here was Orlea. It was beautiful. It was a really pretty white flower that you can use as a filler in your vases. So right now they're actually growing for next year. These are gonna start growing again next spring. This is what they look like. That's what they look like. And hopefully they'll make it through the winter. I might have to cover them with some leaves or something for a little bit of insulation, but they should come back next year. We'll see how that goes. But they're a bunch of green in here, so these will be my flowers next year. And they're called cool flowers, so you basically plant them in the fall and then they come up in the spring. So I've never done a lot of fall planting like this with flowers, so I'm excited to actually try this year. I usually plant really early spring on my flowers, and fall actually is the best time to plant some of these flowers because they grow so much better. I am excited to try that. So we're gonna come back over here and look at this other bed over here. So this is the walking path to my chicken house, and it's kind of overtaken by these cosmos. You can see here from my compost that I put into these flower beds, I have a tomato plant growing here, and actually it has a flower on it, but poor thing isn't going to make it whenever we start getting into the 40s at night next week. But I was hoping to get maybe one little tomato before the frost came, but I don't know. I mean, there's still a chance, but I don't think it'll do anything. I would love to extend my brick path back through here and because I know my husband does not like mowing this all the time, I was going to put some plastic down and try to prevent some of these weeds that come up through this walking path. But my cosmos have laid over on the walking path, which is actually great. It's suppressing the weeds right now, so we don't have to worry about too much weeding through there. But looking over here, we found all of these rocks in our woods. A lot of these rocks came from our when we first moved here. They had rocks lined up on our driveway, and we took them all out and placed them in the woods in a spot. And we went back down there and grabbed a lot of these rocks and put them up here. So I have a lot of creeping phlox through here. In the spring and fall, you can divide these creeping phlox and place them everywhere, which that's what I have done. I've split them. I have them everywhere on this side of the garden. And these are like pinks and purple creeping phlox. So in the spring, there will be a huge pop of color all through here, because I have them on the edge all throughout this little garden bed, and it's going to be absolutely beautiful when they bloom. So I have one here. I got some of these this spring. My grandma grows these all the time. They're still going. I'm hoping they'll overwinter and seed. I'm trying to remember what these are. I believe these are a petunia, and I think they come back every year. They have little seeds. I know my grandma's come back, and she has these purple ones, and I planted these because I always loved her purple ones. And if you guys know me, I love purple flowers, so there's a lot of purple going on in this garden. I can't remember what this is called. It starts with a O, I think. It's supposed to be really pretty white bushy plant. This is actually never really have taken off all these years, but it's actually starting to grow because I transplanted it in this garden this year, and it's actually finally growing. And then we got some lavender in here. I'm actually probably going to transplant this because a lot of my plants I planted too close together, but this lavender is actually starting to take off. Smells amazing. I'm gonna have to try to clip some of these purple tops for my teas. Been dehydrating a lot of my tea herbs. So I believe this plant is a Veronica. I believe. There's actually two plants right here that kind of resemble each other. One's like in the sage family, and one's a Veronica. And you can see I need to clip off all of these dead twigs right here, but it's still pretty green. Should come back next year. And then over here in the center, it's dying out. I have a peony bush, and this thing has grown so much. You can see it's starting to die out. But this is what I was kind of talking here, since my lavender plant is getting big, and I know this peony plant's going to get huge. I'm going to have to transplant my lavender away from it. And then right here, I believe this is the sage, some type of sage plant that it's floral. I actually need to trim off all of these sticks so you can see, like, it's just laying over. But I believe they're too close together, and I don't want to cause any diseases next year. So closer to whenever this stuff starts going dormant, I'm going to transplant these away from each other. So over here, I had a lot of Rebecca, Black-Eyed Susan growing this summer. It was beautiful. It was so full. I wish I would have took a picture or took a video of it, but I was so busy this year selling vegetables in the garden. But I do have some still growing, coming back for next year. I'm hoping they'll overwinter. I know a lot of the Rebecca that I planted probably won't come back. Certain varieties won't, so I'll have to probably replant some of those this spring. But a lot of the Black-Eyed Susan should come back. And here is that plant again. And then I got this is Gumfrina. I love these. These are such a beautiful pop of color in the garden. Look at that beautiful color. I believe I'm just going to grow this color next year. I do have this pale pink back here. I'm more drawn into this color though. I mean, there's nothing wrong with this pale pink. Still a good little pop of color through here. Kind of gives it some interest. But these things, they grow so well. Good little staple to have if you're growing flowers because they last. You can actually dry them as well as a fall dried flower. So what I have next to here, which these don't overwinter, so these will just die off and I'll have to replant them next year in my house in the spring. But what I have right here is some more lavender. So I'm thinking I'm gonna plant my other lavender plant next to this one so it'll be really big and bushy next year. Because I have this open space right here that I had Chinese forget-me-not. And Chinese forget-me-not was absolutely stunning. The bees loved it. That was probably the best plant I had that attracted the bees was Chinese forget-me-not. If you guys can grow that in your gardens, definitely do that. But I will say it does spread its seed, so you gotta be careful with that. I just been raking my tool in here and trying to break up all of those seeds that reseeded because I don't really want this garden to be taken over by the Chinese forget-me-not. And I just planted some kale here. This is actually just for the chickens. I was hoping to get a really good harvest off this, and the pigs, they can have like little snacks. Didn't really take off as fast because something's been eating it, but we have a little bit that I can give them. There's a bug already eaten all of that. And in this corner I got some more creeping flock to give that pop of color this spring. I'm gonna have to like move it back a little bit so it has some space to spread because I don't want it to spread too much on my walking path right here. And you guys, these are from Walmart. These are the best little lights, solar lights to get at Walmart. They're 98 cents. It's such a great little quality for a 98-cent light. So we have a lot of these throughout our cottage garden, main garden. It will light it up at night so we can actually see walking out here. I have them all through this path through here. And if you're looking for like a really cozy looking lights in your garden, definitely look at these. 98 cents, you can't beat that price. I can hear some thunder in the background. So over here, this is my turnover area where I can turn over the soil and plant annuals in here. But it looks like a bunch of Orlea seeds have sprouted. And looks like some straw flower has sprouted and maybe some snapdragons, and it's just a mix in here because all the seeds, I just let everything go to seed this year and they dropped. And I'm actually using this as a cover crop right now. It's feeding my soil, keeping it covered. So we might have a bunch of Orlea next year because it's a spring flower just like across from here. My Orlea on this side as well. So we might have 2 white flowers coming up next year. So walking back through this path by the chicken house, this is like terrible looking. I need to eventually pull this out, but this is dahlias I planted in this old tank right here. It was absolutely beautiful. They were really deep burgundy red colors and some yellow colors together. And they were absolutely beautiful. I got some chicks and hens in here, which a lot of 4-leaf clovers are taking over, but my chicks and hens had a lot of babies in here. You can see these tiny little babies that formed. So this chicks and hens will take over eventually. And then on the side right here, I mentioned in my video in spring, I didn't know what I was going to plant against the chicken run right here. I really wanted to do hydrangeas because hydrangeas are my favorite flower, and I actually did. I did pick up some really cheap clearanced hydrangeas. They were pink, but I think 2 of them died. One of them still kind of is living, so we'll see if they'll come back next year, which I don't think I have high hopes for them. I think they need more shade. But so I ended up tilling a bunch of this soil and just throwing down some marigold seeds. I actually did plant some comfrey all through here, but I ended up ripping it all out real quick because I've learned comfrey likes to really take over when it goes to seed, and once it takes over and the roots get established, it is so hard to get rid of comfrey. So I ended up ripping all that out before the roots became a problem. And every year I'm just gonna plant marigolds through here. And they don't look so beautiful right now because I had a chicken get out and she got into this and kind of messed up a lot of these marigolds. But it was absolutely beautiful whenever they were really, I mean, they're in bloom right now. This is a beautiful flower for fall as well and summer. But it's like really bushy, pop of color. And I just planted it all along the chicken fence. And I did on the other side too, but my watering hose doesn't reach over there very well. Here, I'll just walk over there. It's just kind of splotchy. Still got some flowers, but I couldn't get my water hose over here too much this summer. And then I ended up putting my comfrey plant over here in this area. So I secluded my comfrey plant away from everything. I took it out of my main garden because it was taking over the main garden. I still have roots still growing in the garden, so I'm going to be fighting that for a couple years to totally get rid of it. So if you're growing comfrey, learn from me. Put it in a spot away from everything. Comfrey is really good for composting tea, and you can actually use it for sprains and broken bones to heal. I actually did that on my son whenever he had a sprain on his leg. I'm not giving medical advice at all. I'm just saying what I did. But definitely look up comfrey plant for that and do your own research. This little plant right here is an azalea bush. It's doing okay. My mother-in-law gave that to me for my birthday or Mother's Day, I can't remember. Might have been Mother's Day. I just been making sure to keep it watered and fertilized, and it's doing really well. So I know some of these plants get huge, so we'll see how that goes. So starting back over here where I have this little cover crop area of flowers, I have some Love in a Mist. This is my flower that's growing for next year. It reseeded itself, and that's the good thing about some of these plants. They just reseed themselves and you don't have to work so hard. I had to put this little wire down because I had something in here digging. I think it was like a skunk or a possum or something. So I just put this wire down to protect whatever it was that was digging in the soil. These are hollyhocks. They're so massive, beautiful. So something about hollyhocks is they are a biennial flower. So I planted this one this year. So next year I'll get my flower blooms on it, hopefully. So next year these will be blooming, beautiful flowers. Can't wait to see it. And then over here I got some bachelor buttons. These reseeded themselves and they're actually starting to bloom on some of them, and they should come back next year. I hope they didn't reseed themselves too early because they're getting pretty tall. They're probably about a foot tall already. So these are big, beautiful. I think they're a mix of beautiful blue, pink, and purple. And these ones are candulas. You can actually, I believe, use some of these flowers. I have some of these dried in the house for teas. These actually seeded really well. I just threw these seeds down in the spring and they sprouted up. They did decently well in this little area right here in between these two plants. And then I got some larkspur. These are a beautiful purple larkspur. And again, I had to put some chicken wire on top because something was digging in here. So these will be absolutely stunning next year. I've always heard if you plant larkspur in the fall, they'll be absolutely stunning the next spring whenever they grow. And they'll be a taller, bushier, more blooms when you plant them in the fall. You can plant them early spring like I've always have, but fall planting is best. Right here I got some coneflower, purple coneflower. It's its first year growing. It should come back next year. But I got quite a bit of blooms off this year. I saved some of them for teas. So I got a lot of these coneflowers in here planted. So these will be a big bush next year. I try to keep in mind about growing a bunch of stuff that is edible. So this will hopefully be a big bush of coneflowers next year. And then in here I have some foxglove, and they're just like hollyhock. They will bloom next year. So these are the first year, they're biennial. They will bloom beautiful flowers next year. They are going to be like one of the staples next year, just like the hollyhocks, of catching your eye whenever they get super tall and they bloom out. So that's the only bummer, is you have to wait the second year for it to bloom. These ones actually I think came from Walmart seeds, so we'll see them next year. And then right here I have some yarrow, which I'm surprised it didn't grow as well after I transplanted it here. It might take off next year, so I'm a little nervous growing yarrow inside of a flower bed, because eventually the seeds, if you don't take care of it, the seeds will take over and it'll just be a mess. So I try to keep it trimmed so we don't have that problem. And this big bush right here is feverfew. This should overwinter. It reseeded itself, and I hope it's not too tall to come back next year, which it should come back, but it started reseeding really early in the summer, so I'm hoping it's not too tall and die off next year. I hope it comes back. It should come back. These are one of the flowers that you can grow in the fall for next year. It'll come up really beautiful next year. And this is sedum. This actually has done horrible. This is actually supposed to be a really pretty fall, autumn color. It just looks really diseased. It does not like this spot. So I might have to transplant this in a different spot. It might get too much sun, too much water whenever I water in here. I know these don't like to get too much water. I might have to transplant it somewhere else. It's just not doing well. So again, I have some creeping phlox in between these flowers. So next year I'll have my pop of color first thing in the spring. And then walking back over here, I have a cover crop in here. This is where I grew all of my zinnias, and they were so beautiful. The butterflies, bees loved it. So I tore it down, put a cover crop in here to keep the soil covered and something growing in here. I keep the soil covered just because I need some life in the soil at all times, and that means just worms, micros love to feed on roots. So if you keep your soil covered with either a cover crop or something like leaves or something, your soil will be really healthy. So I got this planted here for next year. So next spring I will till all of this in and plant my seeds, and my soil will be that much healthier. So my husband pressure washed our tank here. Looks so good. So over here in this tree stump, I ended up planting some peppermint. And if you know, peppermint will take over and spread everywhere. So since we lost this tree, I think it was last year, the year before, we took this tree down, it died. It has a huge hole in the center, so I put some soil in there and planted some peppermint for teas. And then I have a lilac bush growing in here. Still doing really well. I hope this thing really takes off. I love lilac bushes. I love the smell of them. I've been trying to keep this one watered, still green. So there's still some high hopes here. I might cover it in leaves through the winter to keep the root protected. I do have one from my husband from my birthday. This one looks like it's dead, but hopefully it might come back next year. I don't see any little buds on it, but hopefully it'll come back. And then I got some irises I transplanted on each corner of this propane tank. So they will bloom out a purple, beautiful iris next year. And then this one looks like it didn't come back. The root is still in here, so there's still some high hopes that it'll come back. Same as this side. I don't see the plants I think my husband's probably just been mowing it over. Actually, I do see it. There's one right there, so it'll come back. So I'm not worried about that. Irises, pretty tough plant. They will come back. All right, so walking over here on this side of the little flower garden. So the wind is starting to pick up, but we are going to finish this video. This is the side of my chicken coop. So right here, this is actually starting to die off. It's a mum that came back from last year, and it was supposed to be so beautiful, which it was. It was like half red and half yellow on one side. I had something growing in the center right here that made this kind of not do so well. I had some lilies growing in here, and I actually cut it to the ground already because it already died. It was a summer flower. So it gets like really big and tall, and I think it kind of just shaded out my mum, so it didn't do as well. But it's coming back at the roots, so once this all completely dies off, I will trim all of the dead off, and then I'll cover this in leaves. So next year, I'm planning to let this grow really beautiful next year, and I'm going to take this lily out and put it somewhere else. Again, I got some creeping flock all through here, just like I do through all these beds. It's going to help that pop of color in the spring. I have a peony bush right here. It's huge, it's beautiful, it's pink. I got some cone flowers back here that bloom. And then over here I got another peony bush. These are a spring flower, so all of this will have a spring pop of color. I got some tall phlox back here that's purple. Absolutely beautiful. I love tall phlox. More creeping phlox through this side of the bed, and then some more irises. These are actually the original ones that I transplanted over by the propane tank. These will spread. They spread like crazy, so every few years you need to dig up your irises and transplant them somewhere else or give them to your neighbors. I still have this little path right here. I actually might put some stone right here because this is kind of where we walk to feed our chickens sometimes. So I thought about putting some pretty stone in between here so we can walk through here and feed our chickens. So I love this little area. This is like the first little area that I started with whenever I started growing flowers. So next year I want to put something else in here. I would love to do a hydrangea bush because I love those flowers. I think the pop of white bush plant right here would be beautiful, but I don't know if it'll do really well with my mom. So I'm going to start planning on what to do next year in this little area, or if I should plant another mum, so in the fall I will have a pop of color right here, because everything else kind of dies off. A lot of this is spring flowers, so I need something summer, fall that will keep blooming through here, so we'll see. So let me know what you guys think of the cottage garden. I just absolutely love it. I like keeping all my flowers together. That way it's easier for me to clean them up or clean around them, and I don't have to worry about them being in my main garden over here. So again, we are actually a couple days from our average frost, so a lot of this stuff will be dying soon or going dormant. We have actually a storm right over here getting ready to hit anytime now, so I'm trying to hurry up and finish this video. So this storm off in the distance is coming this way, but all these trees out here are gonna start changing colors soon. It's like a really pretty fall colors through here. We live on this big hill, and that's another reason why I love this area, is because of the view. On each side of this hill we have a beautiful view. But let me know down in the comments what you think of this so far. I'm sorry I didn't film this summer showing exactly what it looked like, but it was beautiful. I will say a lot of the stuff actually is not in bloom anymore, and I wish I would have at least took a picture to show you guys what it looked like. And I'm also excited for everything to die off and go dormant. That just means a good little break for me. So a lot planning next year, so stick around for next year, and we will be moving some flowers around, changing up some things for next year. Thank you guys so much for watching today. Don't forget to comment down in the comment section. Maybe give me some ideas of some flowers to grow in here. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you next week.